Welcome to Chapter 3. Choosing the right topic is one of the biggest steps towards a successful writing project, whether it's a personal essay or a final research paper. In fact, in my experience, the right topic or the wrong topic will hugely affect how successful the final piece of writing turns out to be. The most common mistake students make is to choose an overly broad topic because they think that it will give them more options when it comes to filling the page requirement. That's understandable, but the truth is actually counterintuitive. If you want to be able to write a lot, choose an extremely narrow topic. Think about it this way. Suppose you're a huge sports fan and someone asks you, "Tell me about sports. I want to understand sports." You're likely to respond, What do you want to know? Ask me a question. When the question the person asks you is too broad, you get tongue-tied. It's difficult to know where to start. You have nothing to say. But on the other hand, if someone were to ask you, "Tell me about the best quarterback in the NFL," assuming you're a football fan, you'd probably have a lot to say. This becomes even more important when you want to write a paper involving research, which, by the way, you won't do in this course, but you'll probably have to do it in your next writing class. What's likely to happen when you type in, say, gun control into a Google search? 1.3 million results, right? How can you ever process even a fraction of that information into a short college essay? Here's another way to think about it. Sometimes we say that writing in an academic article is like entering a conversation with others in the field. You consider what other researchers have to say. You look at their research, you look at their arguments, you do your own thinking and experimenting, and then you add to the conversation with your writing, arguing on the topic, expecting that others will read what you have to say and add on themselves, building ultimately a large conversation of information about this topic. It's definitely doable when it comes to specific narrow topics. The connections, let's say, between economics and romance in Jane Austen's writing, or the feeding habits of blue-tailed swallows, or something like that. Suppose there's maybe 30 to 50 scholars in that field writing about those specific things. You can go and read what they have to say. It'll take you a while, but it's doable, it's possible, much more possible than that 1.3 million Google search results. And then you continue with your own research and you can contribute to that field. But imagine, on the other hand, if your topic is Shakespeare or birds. A conversation in a large, broad topic like that is going to be like a riot, thousands of voices all talking at once, and nobody can hope to be heard with any original or unique idea. So if you want to write on a super broad topic like one of those, you end up writing something that's like a Wikipedia article. It's just a summary with nothing original to say. If you want to do something more than that, more than just a report or a summary, you have to be able to zoom in and choose a subtopic, something much smaller and much more graspable in that larger topic field. Then you can start looking at the specifics and the details, and you'll have a much more effective paper or a piece of writing in the long run. Your textbook will spend some time talking about narrowing topics in Chapter 3, although, as usual, the examples are pretty generic, maybe even boring. So be thinking about other kinds of topics, academic topics, perhaps in your major or other classes you're taking, or even just things that you're interested in, and visualize what narrow or broad topics would look like in those subjects as well. Finally, let's talk about what a narrow topic looks like when you're writing a story or a narrative, which you will be doing in this class in the next couple weeks. You'll be reading two narratives this week: Blankets by Sherman Alexie and The Power of Hello by Howard White. In Blankets, the essay takes up about 5 pages of your textbook, maybe 2,000 words or more. And yet, the amount of time that the story covers in terms of the characters' own lives is less than an hour, just the space of a visit to the hospital. And in The Power of Hello, the essay is only about a page, maybe 400 words, and yet the story that it tells is just minutes in length. Often when I assign narratives, Students want to choose a really big life event, the time they spent 2 weeks in Italy, let's say, or their sophomore season of baseball in high school. But if you choose a story that takes place over weeks or months, then it's going to take you an entire book of writing to really communicate in the dialogue and description in detail the story that the reader wants to hear told. So for a short piece of writing in narrative, always choose an experience that takes place in a very brief amount of time, an hour or less. Perhaps you might choose the time I backed down from a fight, or my most embarrassing moment, something that's an anecdote size. And then as you add description and dialogue and all those kinds of things, you'll find that the story expands to fill the amount of space that you need in your essay writing, your page requirement. Look at the blanket story for an example of this. How does Alexi spend so much time and so many words telling us about just a few minutes in the hospital? What does he include that makes the story interesting and worth reading for 5 pages? Next week, you'll choose a topic for your own narrative essay. So begin thinking now about anecdotes or experiences that you've had that would make a good, quick story like this one.